The level 101 does have a few more tricks than the 100. Hey everyone, Derpy here, and welcome back to another Battle Pirates video. Contrary to most targets, the 101 is actually entry level locked, so you always enter just under this area right here. This means you can take a pretty predictable path depending on how close you get to a few things. This target has a few different subs, including this one with green countermeasure firing arcs, which don't actually seem to fire countermeasures, which seems strange to me. Now, they do have a rocket, or a torpedo rather, that does look a little bit like a rocket, and it has a much higher countermeasure evade. So this is the target where you're going to want a few more countermeasures on your ships if at all possible. Go ahead and kill this bottom group and chase it off map here, and then come up to the top for the rest of these things. The most important element of this target is to not get within this red circle when there are any ships other than the Ghost Crawler in there. You do that and the target should go pretty well. Also, try and only engage a few ships at a time. You see I'm going to get a group of about 3 or 4 here, and try and stick to as few as possible at once. These Fangtooth go down really easily, and the other ones are a little bit harder to kill. You will also notice the white rings, which are the subsonic cavitator rings. They surface your ships if you go inside them. That's about all there is to it. Go ahead and kill the center group and then head towards the bottom of the target and engage the few ships here. The ones that you really have to worry about a lot, again, stay at max distance here, rather than right on top of these guys, is these rocket ships right here, the ones that don't have the firing arcs and that are above water. They're the ones that are going to hurt you the most. Try and stay moving against those guys and run through the path there that's not going through any of the fields. Try and just get it in one run through. You can see I'm having to come back against this guy and I'm above water. That's not great, so I'm going to take a little bit of damage on this guy. Once that's down, let's go ahead and head back to the rest of the target. Thread the needle here right through this gap and spin around the back here so you kill this just based off one continuous volley. Next up is the Ghost Crawler, and notice I'm not going to engage it yet. I'm going to get these 2 submarines right here, get them coming at me, and when those are dead, it will be really easy. This thing does not have sonar, it can't detect you. Now, I will say that if in the future Kixeye does add sonar, be very careful because this guy is really big, and it's actually hard to see the sonar ring if it is ever going to be present. We've had some issues with that way back in the past. Now, this ship is being a little bit difficult, that's fine. We're just going to have to kill this one as well as the other gluttony out here that's going to be a little bit harder to kill before going into the red ring. A little bit closer to this guy, and it looks like it's just too far away. I'm going to have to circle around the entire rest of the target to do that. In the meantime, let's go ahead and clean up the top of the target here and a few things. You will notice that most of the damage in this target is explosive damage, even if you're driving pretty well. If it is mostly concussive, you probably don't have enough countermeasures on your ships, and you could benefit from things like evade as well. A few things down here, and again, these targets are pretty... it does take a while to kill these things, especially when you're only running 4 ships. I've got 4 ships at a U2, U3 upgrade level, rather than 5 at U1 or U2. Next ship here, try and stay out of those subsonic cavitator rings again, and shoot at that. And it's down, perfect. The other 4 ships are really easy. The rocket ones are the ones that do the most damage to you, especially if you try to auto this thing. I would not try to auto the 101. I gave up after about, well, 1 or 2 volleys from the Phantom Gluttony is all you have to say there. Or the Ghost Crawler, rather. This target's just about down. Head back through the sort of threading the needle there, and that should be just about it. Turning around, hopefully that's not too much of a problem. You'll also notice that when you do surface in this target, you stay surface for quite a while, and you do take some extra damage when you are above water. Alright, the last thing here is the Ghost Crawler. As I said, engage this thing last when nothing else is around you. That way it can't shoot at you, and you're not going to take any damage from that, and that should be the target. I would probably just stick to the 101 and the 100 for this raid. If you have less playing time, auto the 100. Even though you can do both of them for free, that's the one that can be autoed for relatively little damage. That's probably what I'll do, not too much on the 500 and 600, although of course I'll hit them a few times just to get the practice. Damage taken here is some concussive, which probably means I need to spend a little bit more time driving away from these subs rather than on top of all of them, as well as explosive. Looking at the damage taken, that is 17 minutes and 20 seconds damage, and this is definitely not my best run. It is still, however, instant base repair. I'm going to go ahead and post this anyway, rather than recording it over and over, just to get that one perfect run. I think showing an average one is much more useful than showing a perfect one, especially if it's still instant map repair. If you do have any questions on the build, which you can also find in the build stock in the YouTube description, go ahead and let me know. With that said, this is going to be Derpy, signing out, helping you be a better pirate.